Hi all. These are generally conversations between adults after the children have left the table. The language can be spicy and the subjects can get saucy. So if you're ready, this is the Southern Fork. Unscripted kitchen chats and also studio chats with some of the most interesting voices in the culinary South. I'm Stephanie Burt, a food and beverage writer based in Charleston, South Carolina, who travels with her fork to write for a variety of publications, from magazines you might have on your coffee table to the website you love to visit for your favorite recipes. And I'm inviting you to come behind the scenes with me to get to know the people who make this Southern culinary landscape so special. I'm always hungry for the next bite, thirsty for that next sip, and ready for the next conversation. Let's dig in. The Southern Fork is honored to be presented again this year by Townsend Automotive in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. For more than 48 years, the Townsend family of dealerships has been a locally owned company built on service and connection with its customers. And their experienced team can walk you through the car buying process side by side, from test drive to service oil changes and beyond. Townsend goes through a rigorous vetting process to make sure that every pre-owned vehicle adheres to quality standards. And right now, there's plenty on the lot to choose from in various makes and models. Visit townsendhonda.com for current inventory, or if you're in West Alabama, stop in. Townsend Automotive salutes local entrepreneurs, from restaurateurs to podcasters, and they welcome you to be part of a community that does the same. It takes close to 1,200 bees to make a 16-ounce jar of honey. Each one of those bees, through its choice of flower nectar, contributes to the unique flavor profile of a honey, a profile that can vary season to season, even if the location of the hive remains the same. That unique character, the literal taste of a place, is only preserved if the honey arrives to your kitchen pantry 100% raw. And for many cooks and chefs in Alabama, some of the best tasting and highest quality raw honey is produced by Eastaboga Bee Company. Beekeeper Justin Hill comes from a long lineage of farmers, and when he took up keeping bees a few years ago in order to diversify his farm, he really got bit by the beekeeping bug. He's now one of the largest honey producers in the region, and you can find the honey he makes on some of the best menus in the state. It tastes like sweet liquid sunshine on the rolling Alabama fields in summer. In other words, pure liquid gold. Welcome to the Southern Fork.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for driving over here to Tutwiler in Birmingham, Alabama this morning to chat with me.
We're not at the Tutwiler in Montgomery, just so everybody that's from Alabama knows. We're not at the jail.
We're not at the jail. We're at the Hampton Inn and Suites in the historic Tutwiler Hotel. I've stayed here both times that I've been in Birmingham, and it's a great central location for me.
It's beautiful.
But we're not here to talk hotels. We're here to talk honey, which is one of my favorite subjects of all time. But you are my first beekeeper. Now, do you consider honey farming or beekeeper? What is your title?
I'm a beekeeper. I don't really farm honey. We farm bees.
Mm-hmm.
And honey's just one of the things we do make. We also raise queens and sell small hives to people.
That's super cool. I don't understand how you raise insects. So we're going to get into all of that today. But I've been loath, so I'm going to just jump right in here, to have a beekeeper on, because I am also a food writer, and honey is fraught with fraud.
It is.
Right? And I have dabbled, shall we say, in the sticky subject of honey to write about it. And I wrote recently about it for Sever. Honey, actually, I've been told by a couple of beekeepers to stay out of it. Don't ask me any more questions. And so can you explain why we both know this? Can you explain what basically goes on with a lot of honey in the United States? People have heard it from me, but...
Well, I think it's not just something that affects honey. It's something that affects every industry, and it's called greed. And that's just the beginning and the end of it.
A lot of the honey that's on American shelves isn't really honey, right?
I can't speak to what is or what ain't, but a lot of it gets really filtered and adulterated just through mixing, and so some people do that. I can't speak to other people. Just myself.
Also, too, a lot of honey is imported into the U.S. So I think we've all kind of understood at this point that honey can help, or a lot of people feel like honey can help you with allergies because it's handling
You're taking low doses of pollen is what you're doing.
But also, honey has the imprint of flavor of a place, right?
It's like a wine.
Yeah. So what is the imprint of flavor of Central Alabama, where a lot of your bees are?
You should ask Tim or any of the rest of them.
The honey that you brought me today, talk about the flavor of that honey and really where the bees get their...
Most of what we grow is a wildflower honey, which is a combination of just multitudes of flowers. It's not where a clover or a buckwheat is just one nectar source. This is a combination. So you get a little clover, you get tree, you get a tulip poplar, you get so many different little varieties. It's such a cool blend. And
that blend actually just gives you a complex flavor.
I think it does, yeah.
And then also it's just really approachable at the same time. Sometimes I love honey, so sometimes a pine honey can be very astringent. It can be very dark. And then a sourwood honey is super light. So a wildflower honey is your good workhorse of honey, right?
And especially if you have allergies, you want something that's a blend of
that's everything. Really an interesting thing. Now, how many hives do you have, Justin?
Oh, we're productional hives. We're close to 600 plus some small nukes, another couple hundred of those.
And is my research right in about most hives have about 5,000 bees? Is that right?
Oh, no.
So my research is so wrong based on his face.
So roughly a pound of bees weigh is about 3,000.
Okay.
So most hives are probably around, give or take, between 60 to 120,000 bees.
Wow. So are you a beekeeper that you have about 25 production hives right on your location, or breeding hives?
Breeding hives, around the house.
And that's your family property, right? And we'll talk about that in a minute. But do you drive? Are you one of those guys that drives hives to farms?
I don't do a whole lot of pollination. We do a little. Fuel prices, it's not really advantageous right now.
So where do they live?
They live in a 3-county radius. They live in St. Clair, Talladega, and Calhoun counties in Alabama. And
so you go and visit them. So you're driving a lot, even if you're not pollinating, right? How do you know when a hive is? This is springtime. How do you know when it's healthy, when it's doing well? Talk to me about the kinds of things that you're looking for.
You will look at how many bees are coming and going. Obviously, that'll give you the volume. You kind of try to count how many bees are coming and going. That'll give you the idea. If they're bringing a bunch of pollen in, they're likely raising a lot of brood. So there's just, and if bees are flying low, that might mean they're heavy with nectar, if you see a lot of that coming in.
Oh, that's good. So pollen is not what they make honey from. It's the nectar of the flowers. Yeah. So, because pollen's dusty, but there will be little bits of pollen in a good honey. Yeah. So you grew up on a production cattle farm. So what attracted you to beekeeping away from cattle, which you knew?
Oh, just a whole series of bad mistakes.
Well, let's hear about some of them.
I'm kidding. No, There's always, I'd kept bees for several, 10 years before this. And I thought I'd always wanted to try it as a business. Mm-hmm. And I was kind of I was at a place in my life where you can do it now. And if it don't work, you still got time to recover. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And that's kind of how it came about.
Well, why did you get your first hive? Because a lot of people are listening right now and they're afraid of bees. A lot of places don't even allow bees in neighborhoods.
Shame on them.
Yeah.
Even growing up, I was the kid that had to take everything apart and know how it worked. Mm-hmm, and nothing has changed as an adult. And I wanted to make my own honey. Mm-hmm. And that's how it started. So then you just kept getting more hives. And now your symbol is a tree. Mm-hmm. On the front of your honey. Can you tell us why? Can you tell us a little bit about that story? Well, it's not only a tree. It's an antique Oliver tractor that belonged to my great-grandfather. And when he passed away, they never moved it. And so this tree started growing up into it. Mm-hmm. And so I just thought it was a great homage to my family and all the generations of farmers that came before me.
And what generation farmer are you in your family?
I don't know exactly. But it's really cool on Ancestry.com. You can go on there and you can see the census and it'll tell you what they are. And by the way, their handwriting is way better than mine. Such beautiful script. And I look like a chicken had a heart attack.
Yeah. but also, too, they had to handwrite everything.
True. Yeah. So I don't know how many generations, but the earliest census I could find was from 1840, and he was a farmer. So we're nearly at 200 years of people that farm for a living.
Yeah. And has it always been in your county?
No. In the 1840s, they were in northwestern side of Georgia, and then they just kind of started trickling further west. Mm-hmm.
So I've talked to a lot of people who are farmers, and I also always say, I grew up a city girl, grew up in Charlotte, and you don't think you're a city girl when you grow up in Charlotte because it doesn't feel like Chicago or Atlanta. But when I'm moving around the South, I definitely do feel like a city girl sometimes. People like me have a real attraction to the farm life, and we have an idea of what it is and the nostalgia. But I've been doing this for 7 years, and I know now that it's really tough. So my questions have really shifted into a very simple one. Why in the world would you keep doing this? It's so fraught, especially with bee collapse and everything.
It is, but it's such a calling too. Mm-hmm. I've done other things for short, brief amounts of time, and it never felt right. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So what calls you? What gets you up in the morning? What are you thinking when you're getting up? Coffee. Beyond coffee. Nonfiction coffee. Tell me a typical day of a beekeeper, because I have no idea what it's like.
Roughly get up around 5 o'clock during this time of year, sometimes a little earlier. Get everything set up that we'll need for the day, whether it be adding boxes, whatever. You just kind of get your game plan. Mm-hmm. That way you know kind of what you can do. And then you'll go out to hives and assess the damage or success, whichever one it may be. And normally by 9 or 10 o'clock, that whole day that you had planned is now in the dumpster over there.
Because you've seen something that's derailed it?
Mm-hmm. It's just like any other job, really.
Yeah, so it's a lot about observation when it comes to bees, right?
Mm-hmm. It is.
And bee collapse and the mites, how do you combat those kinds of things with that many bees?
With the mites, we do, every month we check our mite load. And we adjust, we treat as needed with formic acid, depending on the time of year, using heavy chemicals. And we also try to raise our queen bees to raise bees that help combat that.
I have, this is the part that I don't understand. And we talked about me coming out to the hives to see you and the breeding program of the queens. I did not do that because I wouldn't know what I was looking at. So I thought before I did that, we would have this conversation. How do you raise an insect? What kinds of things do you do to help a queen succeed?
Well, I'll just kind of give you the Cliff Note version of it.
Yes, please, Cliff Notes.
What I'll do is I will make a hive queenless. There will be no queen in that hive. And then I'll graft little eggs into cells. Mm-hmm. And they will, because since they're the right age, they will start raising queen bees right there. And depending on the time of year, this time of year it's not that big of a deal, but if it's earlier in the year, the nectar is not really flowing, and they'll need a lot of supplemental feeding to raise really big, fat, pretty queens.
And that's sugar, water?
Yeah, it's simple syrup, a 2 to 1. Not for honey, that's just for
their health.
Yeah, to keep them feeding all those queens.
Okay, so you've got all this simple syrup, and you're really pumping it into the
Now the bees will also be going foraging. We're just making sure they have plenty to eat.
Okay.
Because we want a bunch of really big, pretty girls. And we'll put a cage. It'll look kind of like a peanut. Uh-huh. And we'll put a cage over it because if one hatches, she will go through and kill all the rest of them.
Oh, okay. And you've raised all these so you can sell them and you can put them
in our hives.
Yeah.
So we kind of put a little cage around them. And then once they start, we'll put them in what we call a mating nuke, was a real small hive. Make sure that she can go out, get bred, and then come back and make sure that she's laying right.
So she flies out of the hive to mate? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Do you do anything to mark them other than, I know they have natural markings, but.
No, I don't do anything with my breeder queens. They do have a number on their back just so I can kind of keep up with them.
And how do you get that number on there?
Very carefully.
Do you
it's a little sticker.
Come here, I told you. Oh, it's a sticker.
A little sticker,
I like to know details like this,
Just catch them.
Yeah, and you just put a little sticker on there. That's great. Are you selling to the general public or are you selling to the industry?
We do sell bottled honey to the general public.
But you also sell wholesale to a lot of chefs.
A lot of chefs.
And do you sell bees to other beekeepers? Or do you sell them to people like me who want to have a beehive? Yeah. And does that come with instruction or do you just go, here you go?
I hope you've done a little bit of homework before you get this box of stinging insects. But yeah, I'd be happy to instruct you.
Yeah, a box of stinging insects. That's fun. So what are some of the big mistakes that people make when it comes to bees that you've learned probably from making your own mistakes?
Well, I've made a million of them. I knew more about beekeeping when I got my first hive than I know now.
Oh, really?
That's the biggest mistake. You think you know, but you don't know. Mm-hmm. So be very humble, or they will make you very humble. Mm-hmm. The biggest mistake I see a new beginning beekeeper make is they will buy one beehive, and that's one of the hardest things to do. You need to buy at least two, because I'm just going to assume if you've never really looked too much in beehives, so you don't know if a beehive's doing well or not. But if you have two, you can kind of compare and contrast. Also, if you have queen issues, you can rob some eggs from your other hive, put it in there. They can make their own queen. If they're not getting enough food, you can rob a little honey from this one over here. So there's just so many things you can do. And with one beehive, you're just like, well, let's see what this does. Well, that happens a lot in the garden, too. Mm-hmm. Getting one pepper plant is a lot harder to grow than getting three. Right.
When do you harvest honey? Is it a once-a-year thing, once a season thing?
Probably once per hive for most of them. In Alabama, we don't have a lot, or where I am in Alabama, I don't have a lot of fall honey. It's typically dry in those months. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we do get some. But we roughly start harvesting or looking to harvest around Memorial Day.
Okay. Wow. So I got you at the perfect time. And it's all connected to rain, right? Because rain, and then the more water that the flower gets, the more the nectar.
Sometimes it can be too much, and the plants don't do good.
Oh, yeah. So how do you extract the honey? I know we've all seen videos online, but with how many hives again? Give it to me.
Lots.
What do you do? Tell me about that process.
We're probably where somebody has a few hives, they don't need as many tractors or front end loaders and pallets and stuff like that. But it's basically the same thing. You'll take whatever soup, or medium, deep, shallow, whichever one you have on there, and put it in a centrifuge. Think of it kind of like your washing machine. It has these frames of honey in it, and it spins the honey out of the frames. It goes along the sidewall, and then it just rolls down.
So it uses physics. I like physics. Do you have kind of a honey grain elevator? I mean, do beekeepers go to a central location to do that?
No, most people There's not too many commercials in Alabama, but as far as storage, we put them in drums, and then the drums go into a
But
warehouse.
you don't have a facility on site, right? You go
Not
to a
for
commissary?
extracting. Well, I would go to a food-grade warehouse because it's so big.
Yeah.
We outgrew our place and then had a little money saved up. Then COVID hit, and it took all that away, so
Oh,
we
yeah.
kind of had to punt a little bit.
Wow. And do you do it all at the same time? Do you just choose or?
We do. We'll go around and make sure we've got enough to warrant putting all that together, and then we'll do about a week of no sleep and hard work.
Oh my goodness. And then they're stored in 55-gallon drums.
Mm-hmm.
And then the chefs that I know, that many of whom have been on the Southern Fork, which is how I found out about your honey, because I ate it on I believe I ate it on a beautiful biscuit at Helen.
Yeah.
With Chef Rob McDaniel, along with that sorghum butter. Not going to lie, sorghum butter's good too. They buy it in 1 gallon drums, and then you make a lot of different products, right? You have, I saw some products on your website.
Yeah, we do. There's obviously beeswax involved in that. So we'll do some candles, lip balms, wood polishes, leather creams. Most of that's, we sell at markets. The farmer's market we go to.
So you have to do farmer's market too.
I love it.
Yeah? What's your favorite thing about the farmer's market?
Talking to people.
Do you do taste testing?
I haven't since COVID.
Yeah.
This year, they've loosened it up quite a bit, but when COVID started, we kind of limited.
And what market do you do?
I actually do 2. We do one in downtown Anniston and one here in downtown Birmingham.
And is that one the Pepper Place
It
here?
is, yes.
Yeah, which is a great market. If you're ever in the Birmingham area, Pepper Place is a really wonderful farmers market in the South. So, yeah. Now, I'm going to ask you to get philosophical here a little bit because,
It's a $10 word.
Yeah, it is. I have some $50 words. I'm just not going to bring them out right now. It's too early. I've only had some Hampton Inn coffee. I need a little more. But I would love to ask you, because beekeeping there's something mythical about it, and in working with bees, not only working with animals, which you grew up doing, but working with bees. There's a calm demeanor. There are things, people say bees can tell if you're in a bad mood, all of those things. What have bees taught you about life?
Patience.
Patience.
You can't hurry. Well, all livestock will teach you patience. Either you will accept it or they will force it down your throat. You can't force anything on a honeybee. Sometimes you can manipulate, or some farmers do livestock. They'll manipulate stuff and through various different ways. But with honeybees, you can't.
And how long does it take a hive to really get to that robust production stage?
Some of them can do it in one season. Some of them it takes 2. It really depends on your queen or your location.
And do they like more sun or shade?
You want them in the sun. The sun kind of helps them keep the mites away.
Okay. Oh.
If you put them in the shade, it's a lot harder with the hive beetles and mites.
So the sun, and also they like it warm. It's hot in there. But they don't get too hot?
No, they can cool it off.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I should remember
You'll
that.
see them on the front, and you'll see them up top. They got a little ventilation.
Really? Yeah. And can you feel the breeze?
You can, yeah.
Yeah, that's what. Well, I bet with how many, what was that?
1,000.
10, 20,000 bees in a hive?
60,
Yeah.
120.
Wow.
Depends on how big your hive is.
Wow. Yeah. My next door neighbor, Diana, if you're listening, I love your honey. She is a hobby beekeeper and she has 10,000 bees, but her hives are really obviously small. So I asked her some questions, but 60,000 bees, I don't know if I could live next door to. So
You'd never know.
you'd never
They go
know.
there.
They just go. Well, you had to punt during COVID. Is your production getting back up?
Well, honey's such a funny product. It's very different than a tomato. And I'm talking in terms of restaurant industry because that's one of my big people I sell to. If you know you're not going to be able to sell so many tomatoes, you won't plant tomatoes. Well, with honey, you get one chance to harvest it, or get it, or you'll have none to sell next year. You can't go back 6 months from now and plant more tomatoes because things are better now.
Right.
You have to get it now. So we were basically taking big shovels and just throwing money out the door while there's like drip, drip, trickle, drip, drip, money coming in.
So the restaurant shutdowns and the lack of restaurant assistance really injures a lot more industries.
Oh, yeah.
We both know that, but thinking about that.
It hurt me, and then it hurt the guy that sells me cable TV because I cut that off. Just went straight cut because I didn't know. Nobody knew.
Right, right. Well, are you thinking about doing that facility again sometime on site?
We hope to do that. It'll be a agritourism style place where you can actually kind of see the inner workings. We think of it maybe like a cheese factory or any kind of factory, like a taffy factory maybe in Gatlinburg.
Yeah.
Where you can just watch them make the taffy through the window without actually going in there.
Like your car wash, but honey.
Yeah, that's right. It's sweeter.
Well, what is making you hungry right now, Justin? What are you interested in?
A restaurant or?
No, I mean, just for your work and things that are you learning anything new about beekeeping? Is there a challenge right now that you're trying to?
There's always a new challenge just right around the corner. Just when you think you have it figured out, you don't. And I think that's something that I really love about beekeeping is just the absolute challenge.
Yeah, well, yeah, bees don't listen.
No, they don't. Trust me, I've tried.
You're like, y'all, we got to have a sit down because we're in a crisis.
Yeah, crisscross applesauce.
That's right. So I have to ask this question before we go on to those other ones. How often do you get stung? I think people will riot if I don't ask that question.
Well, this week.
Well, go ahead and explain.
None today. The start of the week. It's a Monday. It depends on what you're doing. If you're making splits or harvesting, obviously, you're going to be exposed more often to getting stung. It also depends on how hot it is, how much protection I wear. So I might get stung, obviously, more in a short sleeve shirt than I would in a suit.
Do they attack you or just?
No, typically, a honeybee dies when it stings you. So that's the honeybee's last resort. They don't want to do that. Just general working, sometimes on, 10 times a week, maybe. I don't know.
Wow.
I don't.
Do you have an EpiPen?
I do. I keep one in the truck just for emergency. I don't, knock on wood, I've never had to use it. But working in rural, where you're 30 minutes from a hospital, if something goes bad wrong, God forbid.
You need the EpiPen.
At least you can maybe get to the hospital or ambulance can get to you.
Right, right. How many people are in your town?
In Eastaboga, I would guess a couple hundred. Not big. It's a caution light in a gas station.
And I saw there was an exit.
There is an exit.
There's, off of 20?
Off
of 20.
173. Yeah.
What is one aspect of this job that keeps you busy and keeps you stinging, at least 10 times a week, that really meshes with an aspect of your personality?
I love being outside. I love being with nature. And it's so fun with any type of farming to watch something that you saw as a little bitty egg and now it's a fully functioning huge organism. It's so rewarding.
Is it also rewarding to go in and to a restaurant that uses your honey?
It is. Oh, that's something that'll keep you going on days when it's just too hot and you want to go home. You're like, well, they expect excellence, so you have to give it to them.
That's right. You only have 3 James Beard nominated places in one city. I mean, that doesn't happen outside of New York, and Birmingham has 3 James Beard nominees in town this week.
How about this year? You're either going to be Birmingham or New Orleans.
I know. That's pretty cool, right? Yeah. So what is keeping you up at night right now?
What next?
Yeah. What are you going to do next? Do you think you'll add more hives? Or are you kind of at the top of what you can do?
That's something that's more of a business thing than it is a farm thing because there is a law of diminishing returns. Luckily enough, honey doesn't go bad, but you really want it to be gone before new honey comes in. So, you have to hire new people, Do you have to sell at a lower price? There's just so many things. But right now we're at a happy spot for another year or two for sure.
Do you have other people that are working with you?
I
Or
do.
do you contract with, how many people are on the farm with you?
Two.
Two. Excellent. I hope you like them. Because y'all are out there in the middle of nowhere. That's from a city girl.
That's right.
All right. Well, I'm excited to see what you're about to say as an answers to this question. I am so thrilled that you have brought me honey today because I really wasn't even thinking that was going to happen. I don't think that way, and I'm so excited. I can't wait to get finished with this interview to take a big swig or a spoonful. But something I reserve for Southern Fork guests is I would love to bring you some of your favorite things in a virtual picnic basket. So this is my dream meal scenario. So with this, I can time travel. I can source for you. I can cook a little bit. I can make a honey cake and, drizzle some toast honey on a chess pie or something like that. Buttermilk pie. I love honey on top of buttermilk pie. So I'd love to bring you some of your favorite things in that picnic basket. Just some tastes that really bring you life. When you're having a hard day, you're like, that's exactly what I would want if I could have anything in the world. So what can I bring you, Justin?
As an avid listener of this podcast, I knew you was going to ask the question, but I haven't thought anything about it because I wanted it to be on the spot.
Love it.
For real. First thing would be my great-grandmother's peach pie. Nothing against people's hand peach pies, but there's been none to compare to her.
And so she did hand pies?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that would be in the basket. Since we was talking about Tim, that fried chicken. If you're listening, Tim, that's my go-to.
And that's at Johnny's restaurant?
Right. And then it would be fresh vegetables and cornbread.
Cornbread. Are you a sugar in the cornbread?
No.
Because that's cake.
That's right.
And that's it? Any other treats or beverages?
I think that would do me.
Well, that sounds good. Well, if people want to learn more about Justin, and say the name again. Eastaboga Bee Company. You can go to thesouthernfork.com. We're going to have images there as well as links. So even if you're not a honey person, you might be a leather person and need some leather cream. And you can also see the face behind the voice if you like what you hear. I love going down the highways and byways of the South to give you a full rounded culinary experience. It is not just restaurants and awards in beautiful American food, especially Southern American food. It is a whole host of people that you don't know until you dive into the archives of this show. So I am so grateful that you took the time to leave the bees and come and see me here in Birmingham today. And
thank you. It's a wonderful podcast.
Thank you.
It's an honor to get to do it.
Well, I'm honored that you took the time to listen first and then come and see me today. So
I have to warn your listeners, my face is probably more for podcast than it is for visuals. So.
No, we're happy to have it. All right. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Hello and welcome to Talking with My Mouthful. As a food writer and a cook, I cannot emphasize the following point enough. If you buy off-brand honey and you don't really pay attention to where your honey is coming from, then you are very likely to actually not be consuming honey. Many times, honey on American shelves is actually honey-flavored sugar water. And not only are you not consuming honey, you're missing out one of the most delicate, interesting foods that nature can provide us. Honey is supposed to have flavor beyond just sweet, beyond just sucrose. It can be floral, highly floral, like orange blossom honey. It can be grassy. It can have like a green finish. It can be delicate and light and thinner. It can be heavy and thick and really more burnt umber in color, or it can be very light in color. It can taste dry, have more of a dry finish. I recently interviewed honey sommelier, and she taught me a lot about honey. I was interviewing her for that article that I referenced for Saveur. Where you get your honey actually matters, how it tastes. But more importantly, it can really mean the difference between actually purchasing honey and a honey-flavored liquid product. So that is my soapbox for today. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope that you have a sweet weekend. Until next time.
You've been listening to The Southern Fork. I can't wait to bring you more culinary conversations, but in the meantime, I have one question. Are you going to eat all that?